Good afternoon and welcome to the new style of videos for 2021. Those of you know that I pretty much completely dismantled my hobby room when I decided to leave the hobby early in 2020, and over the course of the year I did a lot of studying, a lot of reading, a lot of personal changes, lifestyle changes, etc. And all the while I still kind of had that inkling to tinker and play with these RC glow engines. So it was something that never really completely left my mind, although I thought that it should and that it would. That really didn't happen. So as it turns out, I am still mildly interested, but not to the same degree that I was in years past. But I am going to be doing some videos this year, and I'm going to start this year doing something very different because I don't have a workroom anymore. I'm going to be doing a look inside video in the front yard sanctuary. Now today is a beautiful day and the weather just happens to be conducive to this, but the video, or the engine I've got to show you here, is a very unusual one and it's pretty rare. Seems like it had a pretty short production lifespan, not a whole lot of information on it, and it is this. It's the OS FSa-110 or 110 Alpha. Not exactly sure how they designated it. Now this is an engine I found on eBay. It's used, as you can tell by the pictures and you'll see as the close-ups. It's actually, I'm probably the third owner at least of this engine. I got it for a fairly reasonable price. Externally it's pretty gross. It's pretty gnarly looking, and it's not something I think even a trip through the ultrasonic is going to fix, because I think a lot of it is just discoloring of the aluminum over however many years it was run. Now the fellow that sold this to me said he just replaced the piston ring and sleeve, because when he got it, it had very little compression. Now it's got very good compression and he only ran it a couple of times, but this is one of those engines where I'm going to completely tear it down and take a look inside and see if the bearings need to be replaced, or just kind of see what the internal condition looks like. So let's take a look inside of this engine. Alright, let's start by removing this exhaust. Kind of hard to see what anything looks like in there. Now I have to confess, this is not the first time I've had the rocker cover off. I did take a quick peek inside here real quick and check the valve lash, because it did seem to have really good compression. And it does have really good compression. Now the first thing I'm noticing is this screw up here is really cut open. I think that used to be a socket head cap screw, which is now not. Now it's a slot, and hopefully that's not going to give me any issues here. It's a pretty nasty looking slot cut into that. Pretty sure there should have been a lock washer there, and there's not. Push rods look like they're in decent shape, but they feel like they've been abused a bit. See how this goes. You know what? Before I do that, let's take this intake manifold off, hopefully. No gasket. Hopefully that's by design. Now I'm fully expecting to see a completely shiny piston here because it's a brand new piston in this engine. So, and that's what we see. We see perfectly shiny piston here. Now, I'm not sure if the fellow that disassembled this and put the piston and sleeve in, if he actually did any ultrasonic cleaning or not, but the bottom of the head, the valves don't look too bad. You can see how much larger this intake valve is than the exhaust valve. Let's see about getting this carb off now. Yeah, these screws are pretty screwed. These screw heads are pretty screwed up. This doesn't surprise me. Most folks don't have the right bits for these anyway, and these Japanese fasteners, for whatever reason, just seem extremely soft, especially if you don't have the right bit. Interesting. O-ring seal. You can see how cruddy, nasty that thing looks. I have no idea the history of this engine. The fellow I bought it from, who in my opinion I believe was the second owner, he said he only ran it a couple times after he put these new parts in. So he never had it on an airplane, so I'm assuming that the condition issues you're seeing here were present from before. I'm probably going to have to go heat this guy up, pull that sleeve out. So let me go heat this thing up and see if I can get the sleeve out. Okay, so that was pretty rough. I think I got this thing so I can pull it out now. It's pretty damn warm. There we go. There's theoretically our new sleeve. Now let's see how tough this is going to be to get this piston out. Not difficult at all. Okay. It's really damn warm. So it looks like either there isn't two clips to hold this in place, and it's just got this one bushing, but I see a circlip in this side here, so I'd have to look at the parts breakdown of this engine and see. But that does look like a brand new piston. Still pretty warm. You can see how it's cut away, relieved, and really small, but it's large diameter. This connecting rod looks like crap. It actually feels rough, like it's been beat up quite a bit. So this engine has definitely had its better days. I may have to see if I still got any really 2000, 2500 grit emery cloth or something to see if I can clean this thing up a little bit, because I don't think the ultrasonic's going to fix it, but we'll see. This thing is still quite warm, so maybe I'll be able to just get this crankshaft out off the bearings pretty easily. Looks like our Woodruff key, washer, or spacer I should say. There's that. Now let's move on to this guy here. Oh, it's still really warm. Hopefully this doesn't have an O-ring seal, otherwise that can be a real pain in the ass to get that cover off. Use a little leverage there. Oh, look at that, it's just a little cover. That's interesting. That bearing looks fine. Hopefully OS uses the same methodology for... That looks pretty nasty in there. Let's see here. Let's see if I can see a dot. Timing dot on here. I think I see a timing dot. Oh, I see a mark. Looks like a scribe mark, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to get this under better lighting conditions and check that out. Let's see if this is gonna... Alright, and there's our crankshaft. Pretty interesting, the coloring and the coating on this crankshaft. Now, that front bearing feels good. The rear bearing feels fine too. So, I may end up resorting to just cleaning this up inside here by hand. Yeah, that bearing feels fine. There's no need to take that out. Let's see here how this front one feels. Oh yeah. For my uses, and how I intend to use this engine, which will be run it a few times and then probably shelve it as usual since I'm not flying, those bearings will be fine. So I'm not even sure what all I'm going to put in the ultrasonic, because this isn't going to come clean from an ultrasonic. The head, we already looked at the head, it looked pretty good. This actually looks pretty nice if I wipe it down. So I think the only thing I'm going to do here is get some LA Totally Awesome cleaner on a Q-tip and go in here and clean out the gunk in there, and then reassemble this thing, and then it'll be ready for a test run. So there is a look inside an OS FSa-110 engine that seemed to have a very short production lifespan.